Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I know I said I was going to post book-related videos really quickly, but honestly a lot has just been happening in my life and I'm finally at a place where I feel like I can finally make a video because I've been really busy, a lot's been going on. So with that being said, I also did not read very many books in the month of June. I was debating on making this video a what I read in May and June video, but honestly, I have a terrible memory and it will be very hard for me to try to describe books from May just because I don't know, my brain is just not good. Even if I love the books, which I loved most of the books I read in May, or like all of them because it was in the ACOTAR series and I absolutely loved those, but I could not really like give you great descriptions for each individual book. It would just kind of be on the series because my brain gets it all confused, which with that being said is kind of gonna happen in this video as well. You will see why, but please excuse the lighting. Like I said, I haven't made a video in a long time, like an actual sit down video like this. I feel where I want to not really just focus on my life but actually a purpose of the video. So I don't know how the quality is going to be. I'm using my phone front camera because the back camera is not working right, so hopefully this isn't too crappy, and we're just using natural lighting, so I know it's just gonna look kind of weird. But with that being said, I only read 5 books this month. Also, they were very big books, okay? So a couple of them, maybe like 3 of them were like pretty large books, over 600 pages, one almost 1,000. So I still think I did pretty good. I know I read like 3,000, maybe 300 pages in the month, which for me, that's pretty good. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm going to give you a rating, a little bit of a description. Like I said, my memory is kind of hazy. That's just how I am. So especially with series, because I feel like it does just get kind of jumbled up in my brain. Let me know if that happens to you. It does happen to me. So first book I finished at the beginning of the month was Assassin's Blade. So I read this after Heir of Fire, before Queen of Shadows. I don't think that's really recommended, but I saw people do that and that's what I did, and I have no regrets. I think it worked out fine. But this one was a pretty quick read. I read it in like 2 days because I just wanted to get back into the main story. This is a prequel. I'm sure you know this if you're watching this and you're into the book what do you call it on YouTube? Booktube community. You probably know about Throne of Glass. But I read this. I'm glad I didn't read it first, or I probably would not have been that intrigued, just being honest. I am happy with how I read it. Very interesting though. It's like 4 stories in this book about Selena. Should I say Aelin? Spoiler, I'm sorry, Aelin. About her and just before everything happens in the actual series, which was really interesting. I will say, like, this was definitely not my favorite book in the series by far. I would probably rate this a 3.75 because I did find most of the stories very entertaining and the way it ties together with the rest of the series was really cool to see, and I really like that. Very good book. 3.75 stars. Really happy that I read it and didn't just not read it like you could do, I guess, but don't do that. Definitely read it. Next book I read was Queen of Shadows. This one's a bit thicker than the last one, quite a bit thicker, and like I'm saying right now, I could not tell you exactly what happened in this book, and that does not mean I don't like it. I love this book. I remember this is where I started really feeling like, okay, I really like this series. I believe this is where a certain character is introduced, or actually it could have been an Heir of Fire. I'm not totally sure. I do think this is when she goes back to like, is it Ardalan? Look, I forgot the names of most of the things already, and I just finished the series a week ago. Like Adarlan, you know, that place, that city, whatever, where she goes back there, and it's very interesting. Like this, I don't know, this story in this book, like the plot of this book and the whole series itself was very good. I will say I'm really happy with how things developed between her and, I'm just gonna say her and R. I'm very happy how things developed with her and R. In the last book, in Heir of Fire, I absolutely hated him in the beginning because he just seemed like such an asshole, to be honest. But I ended up really liking him. I'm very happy she ended up with him in this book and how things progressed between the two of them in this book. I don't really think this series as a whole is super spicy, so I don't really know what I would rate this one as spiciness. Probably not super spicy if that's what you're into, but this is just very fantasy fantasy driven or fantasy based, and I really liked that, and I recently discovered I really like fantasy books. So I'm gonna give that one probably a 4.25 because that's where the series really started getting good for me. So next we're gonna go on to the two at the same time, and one is Tower of Dawn and the other is Empire of Storms. So I read these both at the same time, which because I've never done that before. But that is suggested with these two books to tandem read them. I looked it up on Google and found the guide to how you should read these books. And I did not tab them. I have no idea how people tab them so they know, okay, go to this book, then this book. That would have taken me so long. And I did not have the time for that. I just wanted to get into these dang books. And I'm really happy I did. So I'm going to go with this one first. I'll rate this one first and talk about it a little bit before that one because I guess the order is that you would read this one first and then Tower of Dawn, and I am so glad I did not do that. I just gotta say, please do not do that. Do not do that. I will get into it why in a minute, but just tandem read them. So worth it. It did take me like a week and a half to get through both of them, maybe longer, I don't know, because they are thick books, okay? They're like, this one's 630 pages, this one is like 630 as well, basically, or 660. 600 probably 50 and 660. I don't know. Very long, a lot of pages to get through, but very worth it. Anyways, I loved Empire of Storms. I don't even know what I would probably rate this book. I'm not gonna give it a 5 stars, just because we'll get to the book that I think was 5 stars. I would give it probably like a 4.75 because it was super enjoyable. Okay. So much is going on in this book, and I cannot describe it to you. Like, you get multiple people's POVs, whatever you want to say, but just so much is going on. And then when you combine it with the tandem reading of this, it's like a lot is going on. A lot hard to keep up, but at the same time, it's not very hard to keep up because you just grow to care about most of the characters. And it's just so interesting. Like, the way this book was written, I don't think I ever really care that much about not the main characters, if that makes sense. Like the side characters, whatever. But this book, I don't know. I gotta tell you guys, once we get into the last book, I gotta tell you something really exciting that happened to me. But the way this is built up and the way certain characters are developed and just talked about, I don't know, just struck something in my heart. I did not cry. I gotta say, none of these books I've said have made me cry. I think I'm broken. Just sad things will happen. Like, the end of this book was very sad and then it would have been a cliffhanger, but I didn't cry. Am I broken? I don't know why. I just didn't. Like, I think it's just because my brain also knows that, hey, this is not real. But anyways, there's just so much going on in it. I just loved it. I love the power aspect of everything. That's why I really like fantasy books that I've recently realized, like I said. I like the different type of creatures, even though there's not a ton of different creatures in this series. I don't feel like, not like a ton. Like, I feel like someone said there's a dragon in this series, but I don't remember there being a dragon, so I don't know. But there's just a lot going on. The ending was just honestly kind of crazy to me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is getting really good. And so why I suggest you tandem read these two is because then you would have had to go into this book. Now, these are set in the same time, just different characters. This is based on a character that for some reason a lot of people don't like. I get it. I get why a lot of people don't like him. I didn't like him that much, to be honest, but he grows on you, I feel. Like, in this one, you don't know who I'm talking about, but can't walk. He's paralyzed from a battle that had happened in the previous book that I talked about in Queen of Shadows, and it was really sad. But the development between him and another character, I just thought was really, really sweet. She hated him at first. It was very interesting, okay? But with that being said, tandem read them, because this book would be so just boring to have to read after Empire of Storms. I would have been so bored, and I don't know if I would have been able to get through this very well, to be honest with you, especially in the beginning. I just felt like not a lot was going on. Certain things did happen, but it's just like, it's just such a big book for what? I do not know. I don't think that much information had to be in this book. Like, yeah, it was still good information, but there were times where it's like, oh my gosh, when is this chapter going to be over so I can just go back to the other book and read a bunch of chapters there and then have to sadly come back to this one. But like I said, you know, you meet different people in this. There's still interesting parts to it. I just don't think it needed to be such a large book. I think these two could have been combined pretty easily and just made it like a 1,000-page book, or like, you know, however big, and it would have been a lot better. But like I said, lots of things happen. It's still very interesting. The characters you meet, you still really like them. It's not like no one was likable to me anyways, you know, like I still liked most of the characters. And closer to the end, some interesting stuff did happen where I was like, oh gosh, this is actually interesting. I'm actually really enjoying this. So I would probably rate this one a 3 stars for that. And I feel like that's a pretty fair rating for this book, because I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. I liked it. 3 stars. So that is what I have to say about that. And now the last book I read in the month of June is Kingdom of Ash. This is the last book in the Throne of Glass series. So, like I said, I tandem read those two, and then I went immediately to this one. And this took me probably about a week and a half to get through, because she is very thick. I think there are 980 pages exactly in this book, in this design at least. I still have the old design if you haven't noticed. And it was hard for me to get through. Because of that, I didn't have a lot of time to read because my job and just my daughter, because I have a daughter, and it's just kind of hard to find time to read. But I wanted to so badly. I would catch myself thinking about this book all the time. And I was like, I cannot wait to read tonight. Like, I cannot wait to read tonight. And so it did take a while to get through because I get really tired and have to fall asleep. But this book was so good. I don't care what other people say about the ratings. If they don't like the series, I don't get it, because I absolutely loved this book, this series. This book was so good. And this is what I have to say. Like I said a minute ago, I just don't cry. There is a part in this book, I was not fully crying, like tears were not just streaming down my face, but there is a part in this book that for some reason, which if I told you the exact part, you'd probably be like, what? Maybe there's gonna be a spoiler here in just a second. So if you don't want to hear it, if you haven't read this and you don't want to hear this part, skip to whatever time I'm about to put up here when I'm done talking about it. Okay? Give you a second to leave. Okay. In this book, someone named, is it Gabriel? Is that his name? I think it is. It's not Gabriel. I think it's Gabriel. He is Aiden's dad. Aiden did not want anything to do with him in the previous books. Like, he's like, I don't want anything to do with him. He didn't know he was his dad for a long time. You know, very recently found this out, but he didn't know that he had a son. So, you know, I felt bad for this guy. Okay, but there's a lot more to it. That's what I'm going to say. Anyways, he dies. Okay, Gabriel dies in front of Aiden. It was very sad, like defending the gate, everything that's happening in the battle. And I am serious, that actually, like, that got to me. I don't know what it was, but there were tears in my eyes to where I couldn't see the pages for a minute, and I had to wipe them away. And then when it talked about that again, like a few pages later, when he was talking about it to, oh my gosh, when he was talking about it to Aelin, and Aelin offered him the blood oath when he was dead, I literally cried again. I was like, what is it about this part that is making me so sad? I barely knew this character, but for some reason, just like the bond between them that never developed, that will never develop because now he's gone, just really struck something in me. I even watched videos on TikTok that night and about that part, and I literally teared up again. So I don't think I'm fully broken. I think it just takes a lot to make me feel something. So I gotta say, this book also has a special place in my heart because it made me feel something. And I just wanted a good cry. Like, I wanted a book to make me a little sad, but then put me back together. And I think this book is perfect for that. Like I said, there's just to see everything that happened in this book, and kind of, I was like in my head while I was reading this, like, it's so cool how far she has come since the beginning of the book. Like, it's just really cool how authors can make books like that. I don't know. I just don't think I could ever be an author because my brain does not work that way. And it's really hard for me to imagine things. So props to her. This was a great series. I'm done with it now and I'm really sad about it. And I just started a new book. I'm reading Twisted Love. I'm not going to get into it, how I feel about it, because I'm really not that far into it. But I may post kind of a review of the whole series once I'm done. Let me know if you'd like to see that. There's 4 books in the series. The rest are right here. I have not gotten to them, obviously. But thank you so much for watching this video. Oh, did I say my rating? 5 stars. 5 stars for this one. This is a solid 5 stars. I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved every page of it. Oh, I still remember it very clearly. I just don't want to give everything away, but just like the person that was kidnapped being kind of saved, even though she did it herself. Like, it was just everything spot on. Spot on, in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. If you want to see more book related things from me, follow me on TikTok, Brandy's Books. That's literally it. BRANDISBOOKS. And I will link it down below so you can follow me there, because I'm trying to post more on there. Especially what I read this week videos are very entertaining for me, so I like to post those. So just posted one today. Go check it out. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.